Here's what I gotta say. I was thinking about something, and what made me think about this is there's somebody I know, not really a friend, kind of an associate, a neighbor. I'm not really friends with anybody because I don't trust people these days that calling somebody my friend. I don't call people my friend because people are too. Here's what I gotta say. People are human, so they can't be my friends, and I realize that I'm not perfect either. I'm really working on being a friend to myself, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm trying to perfect being a friend to myself. And here's why. Accepting less than what I deserve when I know I deserve better and I know I can do better and I know I'm worth more, but accepting less is me not being a very good friend to myself. I'm not being a good friend to myself. So I got to learn how to be a good friend to myself before I'm having it. And sometimes we learn through other people. So sometimes, when we say we need to work on this and work on that, sometimes you learn yourself through other people. For me, I'm kind of just learning with the work I'm doing with myself. Um, but I want to talk about this. I have this neighbor, even though we weren't friends, we were cordial. Well, that person was very cordial towards me, and they still are, but they would, you know, um, how I say, we would talk, they would smile and we just have conversation, stuff like that. Nothing personal like best friends. But all of a sudden, see, something happened in this person's life where they got very disappointed. And I noticed this person kind of been standoffish with me and not talking to me. Now, the stuff that happened in their life ain't got nothing to do with me. Nothing at all. I have nothing. I'm not even in the middle of it. I don't get in the middle of anything because I don't really deal with people. Uh, but what I'm saying is, I notice that this is something that people do. Here's what it remind me of. I remember when I was looking back in the day when a lot of people were talking about how Tommy Sotomayor would bash black women. And it was some clip that somebody played of him, and he was with this Russian woman. This was like maybe 2014, 2015, and he was dealing with this Russian woman. And this Russian woman took him for everything he had, broke up with him, and took him for everything he had, right? I guess he was in love with her. I don't know. But when he went through his rant, I saw this clip of when he was ranting about how this woman took him for everything he had. He turned around and said, and that's why I hate black women. And other black women were like, what are you talking about? That's why you hate black women. This is a Russian woman that took you for everything you had. How you going to, in the middle of your rant about this Russian woman, talk about how you hate black women? And that reminded me of that doggone neighbor of something went wrong in their life. It didn't turn out the way they expected. And they certainly don't want to talk to me. And I have nothing to do with their situation at all. Just random. You just randomly want to choose somebody to act that nasty towards. Now, here's the point of that, because I don't want to stay on that too long. It's not a big deal if they don't want to talk to me or not, or don't want to hardly have a conversation. Because to be quite honest with you, they haven't added much in my life anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Here's the point I'm making. I'm at this point. People, if you want to have a reason, if you want to not like me, you're going to have a reason to not like me. At this point, now I'm going to give you a reason. If you want to act funny when I haven't done nothing to you, now you're about to have a reason. Now you're about to have a reason. I'm really ready to switch. If you ever see me, myself, and Irene, but I don't want that kind of drastic switch where I turn into some kind of a-hole towards people. But it's that movie called Me, Myself, and Irene with Jim Carrey, how he was this real nice guy. But people just like kind of took advantage of him. And now he switched into this a-hole that was just nasty towards everybody. Well, I don't want to be that drastic right there now. Like, I want to be balanced. I still want to be somewhat what you call fair, right? I want to be what you call kind. Not nice, but kind. I want to be like fair. Like people aren't treated equally, but they're treated fair. What's fair is what's best according to whatever you're dealing with. And so, but I'm about ready to switch, because if people are going to, and this is just, I had this conversation earlier today at work, and I was talking to this lady, and she was talking about how when they people would bring the patients into the therapy gym to get therapy, and the patients would be nasty, they wouldn't be clean, like, and then the person was like, and this is the supervisor, and she was like, why are you bringing patients in here and they're not clean? We're going to be getting them out the chair. We're going to be standing them. We're going to be exercising them. Why aren't they clean? We don't want them in the gym with a bunch of poop in their diapers. And they just look at her like she done said something wrong. And I said, you know what? You can't be likable. In this point in time, in this world, you cannot be likable. It does not pay to be likable. It's like you just, the best thing is to just be respected. That's it. The best thing is to be respected. Like, you don't have to be like a total itch, to start with a B. You don't need to be that kind of itch that just be nasty towards somebody for no reason. I don't like that crap right there. Now, just to be nasty towards somebody for no reason, I literally hate that. So, no, that's not what I'm talking about. But I am talking about, it's best to learn how to be respected, so people don't play on your top and bring patients to the gym with poop in their diapers, not clean, and expect you to do some quality work on them when they got poop all in their diapers, like they supposed to concentrate, like they don't know they got poop in their diapers. Okay, because some of these patients have dementia, but they can still feel something is wrong. You know, And it's like, let them, at this point, just let them talk about you. Let them not like you. If that's how they're going to be, because you don't want them, I didn't say this to her. What I said to her is that, it's best to just be respected. Like, don't worry about being liked. Just be respected. Because at this point, if you try to be liked, then you got to allow people to get over on you. You got to let people play on your top. You got to let people play you for a darn fool. You got to let people walk all over you and do any kind of thing they want to do without any consequences. I'm not saying that you got to be 100% right about everything you do. I'm not trying to say you got to be 100% by the book by everything you do, because you hardly ever are 100% by the book. That's a little too robotic, to be honest with you. But at the same time, you need to be productive. Because I'm not 100% by the book. I don't always 100% follow rules and all that stuff. But one thing I am is I make sure I am productive. I make sure that people feel like I'm a valuable person at that place. Right? Okay. So basically, that's why I'm not saying that you got to be perfect, but be productive. Right? Be productive. You know, so anyway, yeah. Yeah, I told her, I said it's best to be respected. I said my parents worked at they worked, right? I would hear a lot of people telling me about how they thought my parents were mean, especially my father. They call my mother mean too, but especially my father. But might not necessarily be mean. He's very assertive. He's very assertive. But see, people like that are respected. Like James Earl Jones. If you ever see James Earl Jones, but in this movie called Soul Man, a lot of people might not be old enough to remember this movie, and even if they are old enough, it doesn't mean they've seen this movie. But it's a movie called Soul Man, and it's a lady. Her name is Ray Dong Chong. It sounds like an Asian name, but she might be mixed looking, but she brown skinned and have curly hair. I mean, at this time, she could be in her 60s about now, but at that time, she looked like she could have been in her 20s or 30s. It's a movie that came out in the 80s called Soul Man, and it's about this white man, where this white boy, he was wanted to go to, I think he wanted to go to law school. And his rich parents did not want to pay for him to get into law school. And so what he did was he tanned his skin to look like a black man so he can get a minority scholarship to get into, I think it might be Harvard Law. I don't know. It might be Harvard Law School in this movie. or something law school, but I believe it was a law school in this movie called Soul Man. Anyway, the character James Earl Jones, he was a real stern and scary character. He was like the professor, and people would be afraid to raise their hand. Like, okay, so he was asking somebody a question, and he called on this lady. He called on the Ray Dong Chong's character, and she gave an answer. And he said, "What year?" And she like 1959. Like, I don't know if that's the exact year. I'm just saying how her voice was just trembling when she gave him the answer, like 1959. You know, it's like that's just how scary he is. It's like you'll probably be afraid to ask him a question because he might take your breath away. I'm not necessarily saying be like that, but I'm saying is like it's almost like you can't be likable. And that guy, James Earl Jones, that role in that movie called Soul Man came out in the 80s. He was not likable at all. He was not likable, but he was respected. He was respected. Okay. Another one that kind of remind me of that is Lawrence Fishburne in Higher Learning. But James Earl Jones was, to me, was more intense in his role. Like, he was kind of scary. Like, he was scary. Um, Lawrence Fishburne, you can just tell that he wasn't going to just let you get by, but you're able to talk to him. You just knew in that movie called Higher Learning, he wasn't going to let you just get on by with doing half stepping. But James Earl Jones was literally scary. You'd probably be afraid to say anything to him. But anyway, the point I'm making is, it's like the way people are nowadays. It does not do any good to be likable. It's not going to do any good to be likable. And okay, it might be okay to be easygoing, but not to a point where people think you should just do whatever they ask you to do, and you're just like, okay, I'll do it. You know, because you'd be taken for granted real easy like that. And then that's the way people turn around and act like they upset with you for no reason. Because you've been easygoing, doing all this stuff, pretty much whatever they ask you to do, you do it. And next thing you know, they feel like taking their anger out on you. Because they feel like you're going to take that too. You've been doing everything else they ask you to do, so they feel like you're going to take that part too. You know, and so that's what I'm saying. Now, it's different at a job. Now, if you had a job and your boss asks you to do something, that's different. I'm talking about just in regular life around with people. You know what I mean? Not at work with your boss. But you know, that's what I'm talking about. It's like I'm seeing clearly every single day that, and I'm saying this because it's time for me to make a change. Okay, uh, I want to like do a whole makeover of my person. I want to do a whole makeover of my person. You know, do a whole makeover. I'm ready to completely change because the people are going to be act like they have an issue and I haven't done nothing to them. You know, or if people act like they have an attitude when they shouldn't have an attitude, you're asking them to do something that they supposed to have been done anyway. And then when you ask them to do something they were already supposed to do, they have an attitude. It's almost like, you know what? I'm not going to be likable. I'm not interested in being easygoing. I'm not interested in being likable. If you want to have an attitude, I'm going to give you a reason to have that attitude. I'm going to give you a reason to have that attitude. If you want to have an attitude with me for no reason, especially when I look at you and smile and speak and talk, and you want to have an attitude, now you're going to have a reason to have this attitude because just as well I can be this way, I can be another way. You know, people got different sides to them. Just as well as I can be this way, I can be another way. And I'm not talking about turning for the bad. See, sometimes people think when you switch, it's like, oh, don't become the devil. The devil might get more respect. I'm gonna tell you something. I don't put down the devil. I know a lot of people like to talk about the devil, especially in religion. I don't put down the devil. I think the devil gets a lot of respect. The devil is very well respected. Okay. So when somebody say don't turn into the devil, I mean that might not be a bad thing. You got to be think about who is the devil. Do you know who the devil is? Who is the devil? You know, but basically, changing is not necessarily a bad thing for me. It's going to be a good thing for me, but it's going to be bad for those who feel like they think they're dealing with the old person. It's going to be bad for them, but it'll be good for me because I'm gonna be honest with you, because I'll be more in purpose. Changing, even though other people ain't gonna like it because they gonna think I'm a itch with a B, but it's gonna be better for me because I'll get a lot more done than I would not have gotten done, and I will have people do what I have them to do, and a lot more. Let me say it like this: I would be a lot more productive to the world changing this person over into something else. I would be more productive because right now it's not a good time to be a good guy. Being a good guy is not helping out. And I'm not saying be nasty to people for no reason. I'm not talking about that. I hate that kind of personality where somebody just think they can be a bully and do stuff to folks that not doing nothing to them. I hate that. People like that I want to delete. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about being a nasty person, act like you don't want to answer a question correctly, nasty, bitter, old maid. I ain't talking about that. I hate that. Like, people like that need to need to just go lay up under a rock and don't be in public ever, because you are nasty. Like, I'm not talking about that. But what I am talking about is be like that character James Earl Jones, or I have something in mind that for the masses could be pretty scary, but for God, it's necessary. So for people, it's going to look like, oh, I'm switching over to something evil. But I'm going to say to God, it's necessary. To God, it's necessary. Because right now, in this particular consciousness, that's going to get the job done. You might even want to call it dark feminine, whatever you want to call it. But it's not about being a big bully to people and being nasty to folks and having an attitude for no reason. I ain't talking about somebody that's somebody who's broken. Okay, that right there is somebody who is broken. I'm not talking about somebody who's broken. I'm talking about more productive. When you're dealing with a society that has this kind of effed up type attitude, when you haven't done nothing to them, and then when you ask them to do the simplest stuff, they want to have an attitude. Okay, when and it's almost like when you ask for something that you know you're worth, and it's not like you're not asking for more. It's like you're not asking for more than what somebody else is getting. It's the same across the board, and they want to give you even less. Well, it gets to a point where you can't consider their feelings. I mean, some people take that because at the time that's what they have to take so they can make sure they pay their bills. But when you get caught up into a place where you can move on, it's time to move on. Okay? It's like, no. So this switch, like I say, people will not like it because people like being comfortable. People are comfortable with you allowing them. People are comfortable when you are trying to be likable, because when you're trying to be likable, that means you don't really stand on business. When you're likable, you don't stand on business. You cannot be likable and stand on business at the same time. When you stand on business, people are going to think you're a bitch, or itch would it be? I'm sorry, I don't know how YouTube do these words. When you stand on business, people are going to think you're an itch, especially a woman, and especially a brown woman, because I'm going to be called the angry you-know-what woman. Now, if a man does it, he's okay. But if a woman does it, she's angry. I don't care. I'm done trying to be what people expect me to be. It's time to stand on business, and it's time for me to change over. And I can't change over this because this person right here is nothing but a personality that was created. Okay? So it can change over. It can change over. But with that being said, that's it, and I'll talk later.